Okay, welcome everybody to the January 6th meeting of the Blackstone Millville Regional School District. I'll officially call this meeting to order with roll call. I'm Jane Reggio from Millville. Erin?
Erin Vinaco, Millville.
Tara?
Tara Larkin, Millville.
Carrie?
Carrie Gaudette, Blackstone.
Amanda?
Amanda Gilmain, Millville.
Tim?
Tim Howell, Blackstone.
Jill?
Jill Piligallerani, Director of Learner Support Services.
Matt?
Matt Aaronworth, Assistant Superintendent.
Karen?
Karen Young, Nurse Leader.
And Jason?
Jason DeFalco, Superintendent.
Okay. Thanks everybody for joining. We just really had one, well, it's multiple faceted, but agenda item for tonight that I wanted to have us discuss and do appropriate measures regarding COVID updates, handbook updates, new protocols, so that we didn't have to wait till the 13th and have people saying, well, your handbook says, but the commissioner mandated, but so hopefully we can all get on one page and have the same information. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Jason and Karen, and they will walk us through the different components.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jane. And it's nice to see everybody tonight. Sorry we're back in this forum. And we certainly hope that it won't be a long-term thing, but just something for the more immediate. And so with that, there's just a few things we're going to talk about this evening. And I'll actually turn it over to Karen in a second, but just to kind of categorize things. So you had in your electronic packet that we sent out yesterday, 3 documents. One was a COVID-19 exposure or positive test protocol that needs to be reviewed and that we need to change as a result of the commissioners and the Department of Public Health's mandate around isolation and quarantine language. The second document is the close contact protocol. And then the last one is a recommended change to spectators, specifically at our basketball games. And again, just for now, we're hopeful that we'll be able to revisit that soon. And then lastly, we want to mention the need to restrict visitors during the school day while students or teachers are in session. Because our cases are so high, we certainly want to make sure that we're limiting any potential exposure, because as the committee knows, the goal is for us to keep our schools open. And that is, we are, I will use the term, fighting very hard to do that with, as you've seen, the daily updates and attendance for both staff and students, but we're making it work and we want to keep making it work. So to do that, we've got to take some additional measures at this time. And with that, Karen, would you like to talk us through those specific measures that we'd like to share with the school committee?
Sure. So basically, CDC and then DESE came out with changes, cutting isolation time from 10 days to 5 days of isolation and 5 days of strict mask use, with the thought being that those first 5 days were the most infectious, and then the second 5 days, as long as people strictly wore masks, then they could be out of the strict isolation. So in our protocols, basically, wherever there was a 10, it's now at least 5. Certainly, if people are not ready to come out, which we've had a number of staff people that are still very symptomatic on day 5 and are not ready to be out, they need to quarantine. And if other people couldn't monitor or are in a situation where they can't wear a mask and they're medically fragile, they really should be out for the 10 days. So in the protocol, the language, I don't know if you want me to read everything or just kind of summarize. But basically that's it. But
it's everything in that you highlighted in yellow, correct?
Yeah.
So let me just clarify though, so if I'm a close contact, but I'm vaccinated, I don't have to stay out for 5 days, correct?
If you're a close contact and you're vaccinated and you're symptom free,
Right.
then you don't have to test or quarantine.
Yeah.
Testing is always recommended on day
Sure.
5, but you're not required to do anything.
Right.
If you're a close contact, vaccinated and symptomatic, you need to have it's recommended you have a test. If you don't have a test, then you need to be out the 5 days and have your symptoms, you need to be better.
Right.
And if you're unvaccinated, they want a PCR test with close contacts and who are symptomatic. If you're symptom free and an unvaccinated close contact, you're out for the 5 days with a recommendation that you get tested. And we're now accepting PCR is certainly the preferred and recommended method of testing because it is the most accurate. But we also accept antigen tests, including at-home tests. The issue with the antigen test is you can easily be negative on one day and positive on the next.
Right.
So if you're only doing one test, it's somewhat limited information. It's much better like with the test and stay where you're doing serial tests.
Right. But someone who tests at home with a rapid test at home, what do they show you? A picture of the test? What do they show you?
If some people are sending pictures of the test, at this point, we're getting so many emails that if they don't have it, I'm not saying, well, you didn't show me a picture of the test. So
right.
I pretty much have to take people's word for it. And I'm just hoping that, I'm not as concerned that people would tell me it's negative when it's positive. I worry that there's people that are testing positive that just aren't even saying anything, but hopefully that's a small number.
Okay. All right. Anyone
And
else?
if someone is sick and not a close contact, it's the same protocol, basically. If they can get a test, they can come back then. Otherwise, they're out for 5 days, assuming that their symptoms are better at the end of the 5 days.
Okay.
Jane, I have a question.
Sure. Go ahead, Tim.
Do we have the resources to test people upon return to school if they've been out for 5 days and they claim they have a negative test? Do we have resources to test them?
No, and DESE is not requiring anyone to test to return.
Yeah. And Tim, not everyone has signed authorization to have the school test.
Understood.
One of the things that I think was really eye-opening was the FAQ that we received from the Department of Education that stated, which is really, really interesting, that students and staff do not have to test to come back. That was a big, they can, it's recommended, but it's not required. That was kind of a turning point, I think, in all of this with the protocols, to your question, Tim.
And
thank you.
Tim, also with our tests that we have for test and stay, those can only be used for unvaccinated in-school close contacts for the test and stay program or anyone who's in school and symptomatic, we can also do a test, assuming they have a consent.
Thank you.
But they was specifically said we can't use those tests for any kind of surveillance.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? You guys, I can't see everybody because I also have my documents up. So if you have a question, you'll just have to jump in.
So I just wanted to clarify with Karen, if we were still testing someone, I think this became a conversation earlier this week. If someone is present at school and presents with a symptom, are we offering that a test before they're sent home?
Yep, we certainly can. Yep.
Okay.
Provided they have given their consent.
Yeah. If
Okay.
the, parent or guardian can fill out the consent, or we've had a couple of students who were 18 that could consent. So, yeah.
We're going to send out the consent form again because interestingly enough, that's one of the things that's really bogging down the system on our end is when we have the group of students or, a handful of students that need it, trying to get the parents to get the consent to do the form it sadly can jam up the student while they're sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
So we're going to send it out again to families. So any family that might be tuning in, if you can fill that out when we send it out, that'd be super helpful. It just makes the process run that much quicker and it makes the student wait time that much less.
I'm just glad to hear that we are still offering that, especially right now with the shortage of availability of testing. That's a benefit.
We can't offer, so if someone's in the building, we can certainly do a test, but we can't. I've had people ask, well, can I come to the school and
No.
get tested there? And that we cannot offer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. If no more questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the, what are we calling this? COVID handbook protocols changes?
Yes, movie the updates in the COVID handbook.
Yeah.
And Jane, there's other language throughout the handbook. This was the majority of it,
Right.
but there's other things where the protocol is referenced that I didn't have a chance to update. And with your approval, I'll update everything and have
That's
Catherine
great.
posted
Yeah,
on the website.
that's perfect. Yeah. So I'll entertain that motion.
I move that we accept the changes in the COVID handbook protocol
Okay. Is there a second?
as written.
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion further? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Okay.
Thank
Good.
you. Next, if we could discuss the recommended changes from the Dual Valley Conference schools athletic directors. What they are looking to do for basketball, once we're able to get it going again, as you know, this week we haven't been able to play. We've had too many coaches and students out in quarantine. But once we're able to get back to play, what we'd like to do so that we can maintain play as long as we can, frankly, is issue 4 tickets per student to games. And so the ADs in our conference have all agreed to it. We'll print the tickets out and give 4 tickets laminated to each student so they can hand them out to their family members or whoever for each game. And the athletic director will be at the door or somebody appointed there to collect the tickets at each game. We want to make sure they have fans and they have people cheering them on, but we're also trying to just keep everybody really healthy the best we can. And just to give everyone a sense, it's 12 players on each team times 2 teams times 4 tickets, and then the ADs and refs. You end up with about 150 people in the gym, which is pretty spread out. I mean, that's the gym capacity I think is over 500. So It's about a quarter filled. So I think we'll be at a good place in our gym. All the ADs brought this forward to us as a way to keep games and athletics in session. None of us want to stop play, frankly. We just want to make it safer. And then with that, we also would not charge any gate fees while this is all in play. We're just trying to keep it going and keep everybody kind of happy and healthy.
Does anybody have any questions? Aaron, go ahead.
Just a question. So in the note you sent us, it said immediate family, but you just said 4 tickets. So as long as someone has the ticket
They can
from
go.
that player, they can go. Okay.
Yeah,
Just-
they put together immediate family, assuming that it would be, the parents but it could be a friend and a sibling and the mom and a
Okay.
grandma. I mean, who knows, but.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Again, I'm not seeing everyone, so just jump in.
And again, we'll revisit, toward the end of the month.
So does this need, if this is the Valley folks doing this doesn't need our approval. This just information for us?
I put it forward as a vote, but I might be
Okay.
wrong. I just put it forward as a vote because it was part of our procedures and part of our
Sure.
handbook. And so I thought it would be important for the
Okay.
committee to,
We can certainly approve
MIAA.
to support it. Yeah.
oh yeah,
support it.
MIAA is not requiring this. It's something we're doing outside
Right.
of their
The Dual
regulations.
Valley Conference.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we
Yep.
thought it would be important to,
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to approve the spectator changes for, this says athletic events, but it's really just basketball?
Basketball.
I mean, is there any other what about indoor track? I don't know. Does anybody go and watch?
there is indoor track and there is
Hockey.
swimming and hockey and but right now they're looking at just basketball. That
Oh, for
tends to be where
basketball.
all the issues are.
On now, does the basketball thing, does it also include cheerleaders?
Yes, and cheerleaders are able to attend the games still, so they would still go.
Are they getting tickets as well?
No, I have no idea. I didn't even talk to them about that. Do people, I don't know. Is that part of the,
Probably.
I know I have some friends that their kids are cheerleaders.
they would go and watch the cheerleaders? Yeah, that's a great question.
I mean, for the record, I think they should, but
Yeah, I would assume so.
yeah, I just didn't know if that's going to end up being a thing if we are actually voting on it and that language isn't spelled out.
We'll add the cheerleaders.
Hockey's not under Dual Valley Conference. We play under Central Mass, maybe Tri-Valley, Tri-County, something like that. We're in a different conference.
Okay. Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to change the spectators for basketball events with the amended to say immediate family members of players and cheerleaders.
I move to vote on this recommended changes to spectators and athletic events or at athletic events with the noted changes.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thanks, Carrie. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody abstaining? Or I'm sorry, nays? Abstentions? Okay, so approved.
Great. And then just the last piece is to restrict visitors during the school day when school is in session. Again, to be revisited, hopefully sooner than later, but at least through the end of January.
Okay, so that's just during the school day when the kids, because do we want to restrict evening meetings as well? Like have the PTOs go back to virtual or the PTAs or whatever, but like I have our meetings go to virtual or are we just saying during the day?
So when we were processing this, it was when school was in session, with the understanding, and I'll explain what I mean in a moment. With the understanding that meetings, like school committee meetings and those meetings that can be held virtually would be held virtually.
Okay.
The reason that I didn't that we were not thinking about all activities is because we have like the Blackstone Millville Youth Basketball League, and again, we don't want to stop those groups from playing. Those are our students.
Right,
They're
right,
the day.
right.
So like we were kind of cautious about how we were wording that. So we had put in during the day. So for instance, Carrie Purcell is supposed to be coming in a couple of weeks. She's going to switch, and she'll be coming in person in February, hopefully instead of January.
Okay.
So it's that kind of during the day work that we were thinking.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to set some policy where our own students can't come in and do, color guard and all those different things at night that they do.
No, I agree with that. I just think we should encourage, and I can't think of anything other than school committee or subcommittees or PTOs, but to be virtual for at least a while.
Agree.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve no outside persons in the school building while students are in session.
It's visitors, right?
Visitors. Well, yeah.
Well, I guess we can move the motion so we can discuss it. So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, so go ahead, Tara.
So I guess my question would be like for parents who need to come in for an IEP meeting or something, would you still have those or try to move them virtual?
Those have been virtual all along.
Oh, they still have been?
Yeah. Yes.
All right, so that was my question. Like how, other than like you mentioned, Carrie, like are there a lot of visitors through the school day right now?
Yeah, we have groups like Teachers 21, New England Base Camp. We do, we have a few different groups that come in and work with our staff and different coaching, that kind of thing.
Okay. So not so much parents and.
But when we had this protocol, when we first shut down, and we probably still have it in the COVID handbooks, but somebody who had to be in the school for business purpose had to be like stop at the front desk and escorted. And so I would imagine if there was a, building inspector or somebody, I don't know, trying to think of who would walk in, but
a real need.
Yeah. There still would be a. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor of limiting visitors, say aye. Or excluding.
Aye.
Aye. And anyone opposed? Any abstention? Okay.
Great. That was everything I had, Jane. Thank you.
Okay. That's it. I think that's it. I will adjourn our meeting of the school committee